Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In Nier Reincarnation, the spoiler embargo is up, so let's talk about my impressions of the latest People World chapter, The Return. I made a trailer analysis video where I was fairly on the money, which is actually kind of disappointing. When I make guesses, I always make the safest ones, which means that the story went a predictable way. Not that there's anything wrong with that, sometimes what is predictable is best, like going with the server on the moon theory. But, I never would have guessed the end of Sun Moon, and I never would have guessed the end of the previous People World chapter, so those were fun to watch unfold. But, at the very, very end of this Return chapter, there was something very shocking. What's funny is that a lot of this chapter of the story was just summing up the most important parts of Dragon Dragoon, Replicant, and Automata, so actually I didn't have to go and play those games. But of course I'm very glad that I did. I watched an analysis of Replicant yesterday and got emotional thinking back on that game. Very happy to have played that one. Alright, but spoilers from here. The most surprising thing to me was the agency 10H showed. I and everyone else who read the Silent Sea short story knew 10H as a very passive character, firmly under the control of Pod 006, but here she felt like an all-new character, very assertive, and Pod 006 almost seemed subservient to her. I was wondering if they just rewrote the character, but we also got 10H's dark memory story and character story, and in those, the writers did a great job of showing the change she went through and making it believable. Of all of the Yorha characters, I found her the most interesting after A2. She experienced growth and made some big decisions. Disclaimer, I have not seen any of these stage plays, so there might be an interesting character in there. Can't speak to it, however. But getting back to 10H, it's sad that she came and went so quickly in the story, but she had a specific purpose, and she accomplished it, so for the good of the flow of the story, she's out of there. The mother-daughter story between her and Pod 006 was cute, but the timing for this kind of story felt odd to me. We have all of these big, consequential things happening, like the destruction of the cage, the link to Automata, the reveal of the true nature of the timeline and the world, and the return of Hina and Yuzuki, which I've been waiting a year for, and suddenly we're getting an after-school special about friendship and filial love. That's great and awesome and everything, just not now. I am interested in grander questions like, what is human, and where is this decade-long story going? Anyway, speaking of Hina and Yuzuki, their story did not progress much, but three major things happened. 1. They learned about their own dark memory identities in their tour of the history of the world. 2. It was suggested that they are responsible for the opening up of the cage to attack. And 3. They are going to Earth. On seeing themselves fighting the Legion, they did not remember that, but having it there in what seems to be the canonized record of events, that is the truth in some way. I'm not sure how yet. As for the cage attack, this was suggested to them by monsters, so it might be a lie. But I immediately thought about the ending lines of the dramatic recital, where Mama was alarmed that Hina and Yuzuki's memories were somehow affecting the cage, breaking its rules, so much so that she considered separating them. It's implied that it's the action of them combining the sun and moon that ultimately weakens the defenses of the cage, but that was assisted by Papa and Black Mama, who seem to be led by Mama, so that doesn't make sense. I'm thinking it was just something inherent in Hina and Yuzuki that was weakening the cage. And linking that to the final point, I was wondering if Papa and Black Mama were lying when they said, fix the moon, fix the sun, and you can go home. There is some character description that states that Hina and Yuzuki are stuck in the cage, but they are actually going home to Earth. In a way, it's to an Earth they won't recognize. I was expecting them to stay and kind of go down with the ship, but there they go. And in the journey to Earth, I was surprised it happened so quickly, but then I remembered that that was how they traveled sometimes in Automata, transfer the consciousness and memories as data to a different body on Earth, and that is where we see Mama transfer from the red 006 to the white Mama pod, carrying all the cage characters, including Yuzuki and Hina. The first thing we see is Salt Snow, which we also saw in the trailer, but now we know where on the timeline we are. It's way beyond the end of Automata. This was the shocker. The android versus machine lifeform war is over, the machine lifeforms won, and they rebuilt Earth, and it looks like the cage. What the hell is going on? I have so many questions, but like, how did the salt snow return? As I understand it, the giant and dragon introduced the white chlorination syndrome to Earth, humans that caught it spread it themselves, and eventually all humans disappeared along with the means to spread the salt snow. In neither the advanced story of Replicant nor anywhere in Automata is there any hint of salt snow, except for the 2 promotional posters I talked about recently. Where is that coming from? Is it even the same salt snow? And why does the Earth look like the cage? Is it a coincidence, or is one based off of the other? And why are these 20 cage characters specifically chosen to be who takes back Earth? What makes them special? What power do they have? What do they have in common? And are 2B and 9S and A2 and Emil still around? This feels like too giant a mystery with too big a setting, with stakes that are too high to be all resolved in the final chapter of Nier Reincarnation releasing in March. We'll see then, but it feels to me like a setup for what's next, for what could be the next console game. Oh my god, I can't take this. But again, although I am very invested in Nier, I can't imagine being a longtime fan from like Automata's launch or Replicant's launch, waiting all this time. They must be going crazy. But yeah, I'm very excited for the conclusion of Nier Reincarnation and for what's beyond. That'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.